how they see is the source of how the world shows up for them, not the what shows up. Conscious, unconscious. Pretty much unconscious. As you go further down, it gets more and more and more and more and more unconscious. Yet, the deeper down it is, the deeper it is, the more it affects everything on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a change here, right, it'll just change here.
Yes.
If you make a change here, it'll just change everything. But if you make a change way down here, it'll affect the whole thing.
Yes.
Right? That's why I think I have a prejudice for depth. I like being deep, right? It's practical. Or maybe it's just because I'm bored. You gotta go in 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, cool. So, linguistic sphere. So let's say that where do our deep unconscious assumptions about life come from? Well, where do you think they come from? You on the camera. Where do you think they come from? Where do we get them? In fact, it's so assumed that we don't know that we don't know. It's the stuff that it's just the way it is. It's so the way it is that we don't even have to talk about it and we don't notice it. You know, it's like right now, this sound is really obvious. About 5 minutes from now, it kind of blends in the background. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, actually, it would become, I would start calling it silence, right? So this is the silence upon which it determines everything above it, to the degree that I'm unaware of it. Mm-hmm. Now, say culture, society, right? Our personal histories, our traumas, our parents, our interjects, what we were told, all that kind of stuff, right? Form these deep beliefs and narratives and conclusions about I, we, and it. Mm-hmm. So say that I had, well, I'll talk about me. So I remember the moment that life was one way and then it changed. And it was when I was like 4 or 5. And it was, I think it was Christmas, the day after Christmas in the middle of the night. And I woke up to my parents screaming. And before this moment, I had this kind of recollection of this faint sense of things being, like I'm inside of something. But I'm not like aware of that I'm inside of it. I'm just kind of going along. And then I woke up to my parents fighting, and I look out and I see my dad in a blackout just cold cock my mom. Mm. And in that moment, life got different. And all of a sudden, I was no longer inside of them. I was outside of them, and I spent the rest of my life saving my mother's life from my father, right? I was holding them. And nothing was holding me other than my identity of holding them. Mm-hmm. I became my own holding, right? A loss of support, right? So now, given that when we're younger, because the nature of our brains and stuff like that is that we're implicitly self-centered, right? Like, in fact, Forrest has just dawned on him. I remember the moment I recognized that it dawned on him, that all of a sudden he realized he was not the sun, and the planets didn't rotate around him. He did not like that, right? So when we're early on, we think we're the center of the universe. So kind of keeping that in mind, what do you think little guy concluded? Actually, let's start with it. What do you think little guy concluded about it? What would be, probably since he's young, is be a very generalized, like overgeneralized, broad sweeping conclusion. What do you think little guy at that moment decided or concluded about how it is? It's
scary.
It's scary.
I was going to say unsafe, but I don't know if that's even a concept he would have yet.
Scary. I would have to say that yes, I was scared, but I was scared because it was like I could suddenly lose. It's losable.
Huh.
There's a sense of like the bottom dropping out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like it's unpredictable. And unstable. And inferred has no regard for me.
Uh-huh.
It's uncaring or indifferent, right? But for me, it was actually fundamentally, as I've dug down there, it's actually, I do have a fundamental feeling that often comes up with me, which is like trusting people. I'm too lazy to not trust people. To not trust people just means more work for me.
Hmm.
But when it comes down to trusting like that the universe is benevolent, that one's been difficult for me. That's the one I've had to work with, right? Now, what do you think I may have decided or concluded about them or people? What's your guess? And what's your guess? And what's your guess for yourself?
They don't have me.
Yep. They don't have me. In fact, I have to have them. I mean, that literally was the case. I used to stay up all night, and I could tell the moment my dad was getting ready to kill her, and I'd time like my crying at just the right moment to break up the energy. I was like stayed up all night doing that, saving my mother. It was just like, it was nuts. It was crazy, you know. Now, what do you think I concluded about myself?
I'm having a couple different thoughts. One is like, I can change things. Like I can make a difference. I'm powerful.
Mm-hmm. Right. If it's gonna be good,
Uh-huh.
first of all, I didn't stop it from happening.
Huh. Okay.
I'm out of control.
Right. If you didn't stop it from happening, then it would be more like,
And helpless.
helpless. Yeah.
Yet, it's still up to me.
Mm-hmm.
But, right? And here's the double bind. It's still up to me.
Yeah.
Here I am, out of control and helpless, but it's still up to me, right? To save my mother. And it's funny because as I've been doing these, I've been working with people for these like long day intensives. And it's been a very different experience because I've been learning so much more working one-on-one straight with somebody 2 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
And really, like, what I've been discovering is almost for everyone is we get down there. And what we find is, like, we start with some surface thing that they've never been able to get over. And when we kind of go all the way down, we get down to an unreconcilable situation, right? In which